Oh, Dion, it's so great to see you. All right, so I'm going to continue to bring founders in, but I wanted to let you know that we are so lucky today to be having this presentation from Teri Levy. And Kendra introduced her to me, and she is an incredible marketing expert, and she's going to be giving us a lot of insights today. So I'm really glad we're recording this session. You guys are going to probably want to watch this a couple of times because we're going to be covering a lot of territory today. Teri, I'd love it if you can, while I continue to bring folks in, introduce yourself to the founders.
Yeah, I am so excited to be here. Kendra has a soft spot in my heart, and I am thrilled to be working with Brain Trust, found a studio. I'd do anything for that woman. She's a rock star. I am Teri Levy. I have 20 years experience in digital marketing and growth marketing in health and wellness. Specifically skincare, and then most recently in CBD. So really have run the gamut of anything from paid media, SEO, SEM, custom acquisition, influencer campaigns. I've been a CMO. I've been a digital marketing, e-commerce and digital marketing director, and really have worked with many brands to scale them from 0 to and beyond, with a track record of a 3x growth year over year. And so I'm excited to be here and share with you everything that I have in my toolbox that I know works, especially for younger brands that have limited resources, and how they can grow profitably.
Amazing. So Teri and I had a great conversation yesterday, and we were talking a little bit about how much the digital marketing industry has changed, and how much it is kind of at the whim of some of the platforms. So Teri, will you tell us a little bit about what you're seeing?
Yeah, absolutely. So there has been a massive change in digital marketing, which coincided with the pandemic. So during the pandemic, a lot of brands saw a lot of growth just because people were home and had disposable income and were buying stuff. Coinciding with that, Apple rolled out their privacy updates, and the impact of the privacy updates really came to life in the beginning of 2020 as more users started to update their operating software. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with what Apple's privacy updates did to digital marketing. It gave the user the opportunity to allow themselves not to be tracked, meaning that third-party cookies like the Facebook Pixel, you couldn't track somebody's activity from a conversion standpoint. So if somebody made a purchase because they saw an ad, you could no longer track that. Their privacy updates also impacted email delivery, because anyone on an Apple device that uses an Apple Mail or a proxy of Apple Mail, so if they're using an Apple Mail that they've connected to their Gmail, but essentially it's coming through Apple Mail, or they have an Apple Mail email, their emails are no longer being tracked. So when you take an action, when you take an action like open up an email, that is no longer being tracked because the email is being opened up on a proxy server, on an Apple proxy server. So they're putting a barrier between the brand, the delivery, and the action, basically. And so that has inflated open rates for brands. And so you've had to adjust your email marketing strategy to really understand the impact of how your email marketing is performing. They also made it pretty difficult to track true conversions. So with all these privacy updates, attribution has become super complex. it was complex before when you had multi-touch points, but now it is definitely become a little bit more, the complexity has been kind of doubled, because you really aren't able to track efficiently without SaaS platforms, data tracking platforms, to understand where your customers are coming from and what actions they're taking. So with that said, marketing has gone back about 10 years. So we're even longer, 10, 15 years. So if you've been in marketing, we've gone back to old school, where it really is about brand building. It's about building community. It's about what I call owning your own marketing. And with these privacy updates, it's made it very difficult for small businesses to scale. And so bringing in owning your own marketing, things you can control, meaning like SMS, email, and really having those be a strong channels for you is imperative, more important than ever. It's kind of like if you're driving traffic to your site, you have to be able to capture some kind of data and not rely on third-party pixels, cookies, because those are all going away. Cookies are depreciating, and I'm sure you've kind of seen that if you're in the weeds on the data, that limits your tracking. So I strongly feel, as a marketer and a growth hacker, that this is a very exciting time to actually be able to test and learn. And test. That's all I'm going to say. If you have the ability to test, you find something that works, and then you just rinse and repeat. And when that stops working, you test. And I've taken some time to look at a lot of your sites and kind of dig in a little bit to some of your brands and seeing what you guys are doing. And I feel like every single one of you have a very unique opportunity, because you are either advanced but need extra help, or in the beginning stages of your business. And that's really exciting, because you can be nimble, is basically what I'm saying. So that's a little bit of overview of where I come from and my expertise.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. So founders, I just wanted to say, if you have a question at any point in the conversation, either go ahead and just come off mute and ask, or you can drop it in the chat and we'll answer it as we go. We want this to be very conversational and very functional for you. And Teri is a wealth of knowledge. So, if there's something that you want to ask, feel free. We have some strategies to share with you. And I know, Teri, you were talking yesterday about the power of the product launch. Can you share with the founders like what they should be thinking about?
Yeah, so I have several marketing ideas that you should be focusing on in 2023. And one of them is leaning into, if you're launching a new product, to create a super profitable product launch. And there are some tricks and some strategies that I feel are super strong that you can test and try. And the key thing to a product launch is actually building excitement, building scarcity, and creating a pre-launch list. So it's an email list, an SMS, whatever you choose, depending on the campaign that you launch. So for example, I don't know if any of you remember, but Dollar Shave Club or Harry's, right? When they launched, that was when like D2C brands were just like blowing up, and obviously the cost of acquisition was so much less expensive, and advertising on Facebook was efficient, and we weren't running into all these data issues and privacy issues that we're having today. However, you can learn from those kind of campaigns, and because they still are relevant today. So for example, you can create a viral loop campaign. There is actually a platform called Viral Loops, but you don't have to use a platform. If you do have resources, you can kind of build this internally, and it doesn't require like a super heavy lift. You're all founders, and if you're comfortable being the face of your brand and being creating video, or finding someone to create video, you create a pre-launch video, letting people know about that you're launching a new product, give them a little bit of a teaser insight into maybe what it is. And then you could, if you have the resources, leverage that video to run paid lead generation ads, driving to a landing page that captures data, email. And when I referred to like Dollar Shave or Harry's, what they did is that they created a landing page where they gave people who arrived on the site a compelling back end offer. So for example, like, if you give us your email, we'll enter you to win XYZ, whatever. Maybe it's a year's supply of the product, maybe it's a month's supply, maybe something that's a little bit more compelling. But then the key to that is that you have some kind of referral component in there, and you offer that person, great, now if you refer 5 friends, you will have double entries or triple entries. So you kind of gamify building your pre-launch list and leaning into a referral component. And that has been super effective, and wouldn't cost you as much on the lead gen campaign, because the cost for lead is way less expensive than running a conversion campaign on Facebook. You can also do it through programmatic, or you can do it through email campaigns, like if you partner with a newsletter or partner with some other third party for email campaigns. That's another way to also get more reach on your campaign. In addition, influencers. If you are able to engage influencers to help support a campaign like this. There's also another interesting kind of, by default, I don't think it was meant to be so successful, but there was an Australian bathing suit company that was called the Red Bathing Suit Campaign, and they basically did a giveaway. They got 100 influencers to post about this product that they're launching, and that it's a limited supply, there's scarcity, and to create excitement. And you can enter to win this bathing suit. So each influencer posted about the giveaway, and it kind of went viral in a sense, because they were offering the back end offer was pretty substantial. And so people kept posting and posting this an image of like red bathing suits or like lifeguards, and there were red bathing suits all over the internet. But essentially they garnished about 35,000 leads as a result of that campaign, so that when they launched the product, they emailed all those people on the list and basically sold out. So I've done this in real time with product launches that we've had, and it's a very highly successful way to build your email list, as well as sell out on a product, drive revenue for that product. So there are some ideas there. There's another idea that I most recently have just launched with one of my clients, and it's leveraging Instagram DMs and email and SMS. So there's a platform, I'm going to share it with you. It's not expensive. It's called Laylo. They have an AI into Instagram DMs, and it's a great way to leverage their platform because they come from like the drop culture. So I think all of you, thanks, Jenny. I was going to pull it up. Awesome. They leverage the concept of drop culture. So let's say you got a whole bunch of influencers, or you as founders went live on TikTok, Instagram or something. Hey, we're launching a new product, or had a video or something that's so excited. On Instagram, you can have a link in your story and say, DM me the word like let's go, or whatever word you want, or like giveaway. That keyword will automatically populate in your DMs, and then you can automate a DM sequence where they actually think that they're talking to you. So then you can say, oh, we're so great to have you here. Can't wait for you to enter this giveaway. Why don't you drop us your email to make sure that you're, that we can email you updates, or, it depends on what your messaging is, and build it out. And that way you've got their email, you've got them in your DMs, and this is all through this platform, Lelo. I don't want to get into the weeds on it because we have a lot to cover, but I highly recommend, if you're interested, to reach out to me, and I can set up a call with them and they can run you through it. Another thing for product launches is email your existing customers about an upcoming product launch. Let them know that you're launching a product. It's limited supply. Create that like FOMO scarcity, like you don't want to miss it. Have them enter their email to join the list, because then you can capture data to know who's interested in the product. And when the product launches, you email those people. And you can build out like email flows and sequence to keep them engaged, teasing them about the product launch. But your current customers they're like gold. And if you nurture them and take care of them, they will continue to purchase from you. And I have some other retention strategies that we'll cover further into the chat.
Teri, we had a question in the chat from Makeba from Butter by Keba. What do you think of the Flip app? Is that something that you are familiar with?
Yeah, totally. I think the Flip app is great for skincare, beauty. I definitely think it's an untouched, but it does take a lot of time and resource for you to you have to be active in there, and you have to get multiple influences in there active. So I definitely think it's like also Like to Have It. That's another app. That's also, if you can get influencers to be posting about your products in that. It's more fashion, but they are leaning more into beauty and skincare. But definitely, I think the Flip app is a very interesting value prop. But since I used it, I know they've improved some of their interfacing and are growing. And it's definitely worth exploring.
Amazing. So one of the things, was there a founder that wanted to ask a question?
No, that was just me. I was just thanking her. Thank you, Teri. Makeba.
Yeah, I think there's some exciting ways to actually use the Flip app. Obviously it's, again, a third party, right? So if you build out a campaign that ultimately drives people somewhere, or you have something compelling so that you are able to capture some form of data, so you're not relying on that app, because essentially it's for brand awareness, right? Yes, there is that purchase component in there, but that you only capture a data when they make a purchase.
That makes sense. Thank you. Very helpful.
No problem.
So we talked a little bit about influencer strategy. Let's talk a little bit more beyond the kind of pre-launch excitement building and stuff. Are there other influencer strategies that brands should be considering?
Yeah, look, I've always kind of been a little allergic to influencers because as it's evolved over time, it's become very expensive to engage with influencers. But I do strongly feel that influencers, and I call them content creators, are still relevant, but you need to measure your expectations and really understand that it is predominantly a brand awareness play, unless you are structuring a campaign for lead generation, like the giveaway that I shared earlier. Influencers are really effective in building brand awareness. I also strongly feel that if you have the time and resources to build out an ambassador program, that is a really effective way to engage with influencers over a long term. And I've worked with an influencer manager, and we've decoded the brands like Parades, like, I don't know if you know the brand Parade, but it's an underwear brand, and they have the most insane ambassador campaign and ambassador program when they launched, and we've decoded it to really understand how effective they were, and why they were effective. And they actually don't use a SaaS platform to manage everything. They use Klaviyo, automated flows to really manage the influencer program. It's an elaborate program, and happy to at some point meet with you one-on-one, or do another group of where we can go through and decoding their ambassador program, because you can spend a lot of time on an ambassador program and it could fail miserably, but it's like, how do you keep those ambassadors engaged? The other thing that I think influencers are extremely valuable for is content creation, right? So as you guys know, you have to have endless amounts of content, and people like to see and hear other people using their products, especially solving a problem, because your products, how many beauty brands, how many products do people really need? Your products really need to solve a problem. And if you can engage with influencers in really sharing sharing your passion, how the product has benefited them, I think it is a very powerful way for you to build brand awareness. However, there is some work that needs to be done on the back end. It's not like, oh, let's just go find, like 15 influencers and just reach out to them. There really is some heavy lifting that you will have to do on the back end to build out things like a content Bible, because that will save you a lot of time. So it's like a brief on what you want, what do you expect, and examples that will save you a lot of time and effort and back and forth with an influencer or content creator, because you will be very specific in what the deliverables are. I also think it's very helpful and more genuine, and I won't use the word authentic because I feel like that is so overplayed, but more genuine if you create longer term relationships with content creators. So do a test. Hey, engage them for 3 months. Maybe you're able to, depending on your the price point of your product, maybe it's free product. It really depends. Maybe you can pay them $100 a month, but these are the deliverables that I'm looking for. Maybe you have a little bit more. Maybe it's $1,500 a month, and for that, these are the deliverables that we expect to you for $1,500 a month. And obviously, the pricing is structured based on their engagement, how many impressions you anticipate to get. So leveraging influencers, you really have to do some work on the back end to establish, first of all, what's your goal? Second of all, structure, finding the right influencers and content creators, and then building out your content Bible and building out a semi-automated backend that you are constantly engaging them, and they're part of your universe. You can think of them as like a customer or an employee. You would be transparent, you'd be sharing. And so when you create a more 360 approach to your influencer program, you make them feel a part of something special. And I think that's key, as opposed to just like a one-off, because from my experience, when you do one-off, it doesn't move the needle at all. And it's very rare that you find an influencer or content creator that's going to drive revenue. And the only place that I've really seen influencers, more influencers, not necessarily on the content creator side, is drive revenue, is if they are an expert, if they have a website, a blog, if they have an email list, if they have more of a comprehensive marketing engine behind them, as opposed to just TikTok, Instagram, and that's all they do. The influencers that are just dependent on social networks, they're not going to drive the revenue that you would anticipate or the ROI. So if you are looking for revenue drivers, definitely finding people that are experts and have more substance and more marketing kind of expertise behind them to drive that ROI.
That's so helpful. And I think TikTok is kind of an ever-present question mark for a lot of our founders, like, how much time should I invest on this platform? Is it going to go away? Like, what's going on with it? What's your position on TikTok, and how do you think founders could use it effectively?
I think we're in a very interesting time with TikTok. TikTok blew up very quickly over the pandemic. And then I'm sure as founders, you have heard every single marketer, every single other brand saying, oh, you need to be on TikTok. And here we are facing where the US government is considering banning TikTok. So the first step is that it's banned it for anyone that holds public office, cannot use the platform. So we're kind of in this place of like, is TikTok going to be around? If you already have an established TikTok presence, run with it. But I wouldn't make that be your only marketing channel, just as then we're navigating this like uncertainty of where and how TikTok's going to land. And if you are on TikTok, the things that I've seen work, and TikTok is also a lot of luck, but TikTok works two ways. First of all, I feel like if it makes sense for your brand, your own channel should be more about like founder story, founder sharing, founder tutorials, founder demos, behind the scenes of the brand. It can't be, it has to be very authentic, and here I use that word, but it has to be really authentic, and people have to be entertained, right? So that's why people are on TikTok, is to be entertained. And it's kind of like, it's a platform of, I feel like it's gnats, like you're constantly like doing this because you've been throwing so much content and you're scrolling so quickly. So it has to be something entertaining. And if you're that person or that brand that's able to entertain people and capture their attention, invest in it. If you're considering TikTok on a paid side and running ads, you will get very cheap traffic to your site, but that traffic will not convert because people want to stay on the platform and people aren't there to buy through an ad. The way brands have blown up on TikTok is by leveraging organic influences. So having influencers and content creators post organically on TikTok about your brand, but you need that at scale. So it's like, oh, you can't have just 5 influencers on the platform posting about you. It's like, you need to test with like 100 and really get, as much reach as you can on the platform in order for you to even make a dent. And so those are my like high level feelings about that platform.
Thank you. I'm going to pause right here. Founders, does anyone have any questions for Teri about social strategy or about some of the other topics we've touched on so far?
Yes, I have.
Good morning, Raina.
Good morning. Yes, I wanted to ask, in terms of building your email list, just kind of how you even get there in terms of reaching people to, to ask them to join, to join your email list, or if you decide to have a newsletter or things like that. Like, how do you even reach those folks that you haven't already interacted with?
Well, you have to drive traffic to your site and have, a compelling offer to your site. So it's like, what are you going to do to drive traffic to your site? If your resources are limited and you can't do paid, definitely partnerships, brand partnerships, maybe, there's a cohort right here that is super unique, right? You're all offering products that have a certain benefit for people, and you can leverage each other, because when all boats rise, we all succeed, right? So how do you, maybe there's someone in this group that you can like do some kind of a campaign and cross-pollinate your customers in some way. One thing that we've done is there's lead gen. So you can run a lead gen. It's less expensive than running a conversion campaign. So like, let's say, okay, I'm going to run a Facebook lead gen campaign or a programmatic lead gen campaign. You could also run a lead gen on TikTok, but again, those emails that you're getting, I have not seen them to convert at a higher rate than the other platforms. Brand partnerships, lead gen campaigns, giveaways, but I would be very careful about giveaways, because I would be mindful of who you partner with, and in order to do a giveaway, leverage influencers to do giveaways to build your list. Those are some ideas, but the key is to building a list. And, if you get, a few thousand people on those lists, those people on that list will probably drive significant amount of your revenue. Your list doesn't have to be enormous in order to drive revenue, right? It's like, especially if you build out a comprehensive email marketing program that keeps people engaged, and you are thoughtful and mindful about what your offers are, what you're sharing, what you're educating them on. You could have a small email list that can drive 30% of your revenue.
Okay. Wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
Kim, we have a question from you. You want to unmute, Kim?
Yes, I was just going to ask, thank you, Jenny, and thank you, Teri, for being here with us today. I was going to ask, would you mention, is it a program called Problematic?
Oh, programmatic?
Programmatic, sorry. I was like, that was pretty unique for something to be called problematic, but programmatic sounds
Sorry,
better.
that's display advertising. Display is a great way for remarketing. So if you're driving traffic to your site and you have a display ad, and you can run that through Google, you can run it through a third party. Again, that's a paid play. And I know that we're really, if you have resources, it needs to be a little bit of investment in paid. I mean, that's just like the bottom line. You can't rely completely on organic unless you have if you're a very prolific, compelling founder brand, or have an influencer or an influencer strategy that is prolific in the way that it is driving traffic. And so there needs to be some kind of an investment in paid. And there are other displays. So I don't know. I mean, a lot of them have I don't feel like you guys are there yet with your budgets, but there are pretty compelling ways to run email ads with display. So I don't know if you've ever got an email and you're like, wait, how did I get that ad in that email, right? That's another way that is a pretty compelling way to run those ads, because email does still work.
And we've got another question from Diane. Diane, you want to come off mute?
Thank you, Jenny, and thank you, Teri, for being here and sharing your knowledge with us. I had a follow-up question in regards to lead generation. Would you say that is using Google for lead generation more impactful or more effective than maybe using platforms like Facebook or Instagram? And also, what I don't know, this may vary, but what's a reasonable budget for lead generation, just like basic lead generation, if you don't have like a large budget?
I wouldn't use Google. Google is a search engine, and people go and are searching for stuff. So on that platform, so they're not there to give up any data. If they drive to your site, you can. If you're running Google ads for, let's say, an offer, right? That's a way to drive a lead gen. You drive them to a landing page, they'll give your email, but you can't capture any kind of data other than driving them to a landing page with the lead gen. Within Facebook, they're just lead gen campaigns, or you can drive to a landing page. I think a budget, like, you can start with $300 and see how that goes, right? Build out a campaign, and I'm happy to help you come up with like the mathematics to like understand like what the cost per lead should be at that $300 and how many leads you can expect to get. And it's all about testing, because essentially with a lead gen, the things that are going to be compelling is the content and the offer. Unless which is another interesting route, unless you're driving them to a piece of content, like maybe you have a quiz, right? I saw some of you guys have quizzes on your site, and how about leveraging that quiz for a lead gen? That way you're also gathering data, more information about the person, as well as capturing an email.
It's helpful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So it's actually kind of an interesting segue. Dorian from Undefined Beauty asked if we had talked on SEO and site optimization to drive conversion. And this is such a huge piece of the puzzle. So I'd love for you to address that, Teri.
Yeah, with all the shifts and how expensive marketing is nowadays, and with all the privacy updates, on-site optimization is key. So ensuring that customer experience doesn't have barriers. So from like your landing pages being optimized, from your on-site offer being optimized, A/B testing that on-site offer to see what is going to get someone to convert. I mean, give up their email ultimately, and then make a purchase. What does your PDP look like? Is your PDP optimized? Does it have enough information? And ensuring that your mobile experience is first, right? So most people live on their phones, and I'm sure if you have your analytics set up, you can tell where your traffic is coming from and who's converting on what devices, meaning desktop or mobile. So ensuring that your mobile experience is optimized. And I think that's something that a lot of brands don't look at, because you're probably sitting at your desk, and that's where your designer or your developer has sent you a landing page to preview, or a new product that you're launching to look at, and you're looking at it on your desktop, and you haven't looked at it on your mobile phone. And it's key to make sure that everything on the mobile experience is optimized, and I'm especially on the PDP, because what I see a lot of times is I don't know, PDP is product page. I don't know, I'm using an acronym there, but ensuring that the CTAs are clear, that your information's clear, that you have enough information on that page to encourage people to convert, and that there's no barrier. And then as far as SEO, I mean, SEO is long tail. So that is something that, is making sure that, your H1s are optimized, the basics are there. But if you're looking at SEO from like the content side, it really depends on your resources, first of all, the product you're selling, and how competitive the space is. So for example, like CBD, I'm just going to use this as an example. CBD, highly competitive on the SEO side. It's very hard to win. I'm pretty sure in most skincare, it's very hard to win on the SEO side, because for smaller brands, because there's so many big players that have optimized their sites to the hilt, and they're coming, on the top, but above the fold in search. So a lot of keyword research is needed to happen. And if you're creating content, meaning blogs or something that are SEO optimized, that takes a lot of time and effort. Does that help and answer your question?
I don't know if Dorian's able to join us with her voice. Sometimes we're in places.
Sorry, I was trying to find unmute. Yeah, so I think what I was trying to understand is, as I think about all the different levers to pull, how important is optimizing SEO versus the other kind of tools within the playbook? Because I was told that they impact each other, right? So like your cost per acquisition is going to be cheaper if you have a more optimized SEO. That's what I was trying to understand, like how to place my bets with limited budgets across the board.
Your cost per acquisition will be cheaper if you're running Google Ads. But if you're not running Google Ads, it doesn't affect like other channels for acquisition. So I definitely, it's an investment, and it's expensive to optimize for SEO. And so depends on where you are as a brand and what your goals are. I do feel like SEO is important, but I don't feel like it is the most important thing for you to be doing if you have limited budget.
Thank you.
It's a long tail approach. It's not like an immediate approach.
Got it. So one of the other areas that we talked about yesterday, Teri, was the notion of building community. And what is the best way for brands to do that that isn't like third-party platform dependent? Like how can they do that for their brands?
This is something I'm really excited about. And I have like 4 clients right now that I'm working on this with, because just given the cost per acquisition and the cost for remarketing and retention, this is essentially a retention strategy. However, for a lot of my clients, it has led into a customer acquisition strategy, because you are being of service to your customers. And when we talk about building community, I want you to remember one thing: your products are a solution, are not the sole solution to a problem. It's one of the tools in the toolbox to solve a problem. So like your product is not the end all and be all. There are other products out there. And I hate to be so blatant and blunt about that, but a lot of people feel like, all you need is just my product. Consumers aren't like that. Your product is not the sole solution to a problem. And so if you have that understanding, then you can think about, okay, how do I build community? Because you want to take people on a shared journey. And we are leveraging Facebook groups, believe it or not, to build community. And how we are engaging people and bringing into those groups is through challenges. And you may be like, why is that applicable to my brand? Like how, like that doesn't make sense. But with the challenge, it provides a structure to build the community and spark connections and people talking about your brand. You take your customers on a shared experience. So you may think, Teri, like, what can a challenge do for my brand? We've seen challenges increase revenue, increase LTV, generate UGC content, build raving fans. It can help you understand your customers' needs. It can help you understand how they're using your product. It can help you understand a product roadmap. It can also generate new leads and grow your email and SMS list. And I'll give you an example of a brand that I'm working with. It's a men's grooming brand, right? They do beard oil. And they've been around for like 4 years now, kind of limited resources, don't have a big budget, but they were kind of like at this place where they were spending efforts on things that weren't working. They felt disconnected with their community. And so we set up a challenge. I proposed to them this challenge, and we set up a challenge for their community, 30 days of self-confidence. Build the man of self-confidence is basically what it was. I forget what it was called, because this was like 3 years ago that we did this. And we built out a framework to bring people along a shared journey for 30 days. So part of it was they joined the Facebook group, and then in the Facebook group, you're able to build out weekly mini challenges to keep them engaged. So maybe 1 week is like, wake up every morning. I pledge, wake up every morning at 7 a.m. The next week is like, I'm going to go for a walk every day after dinner. Or the next one is, I'm going to focus on my self-care this week. And then obviously you build into those weeks, ideas, tidbits, things that they can do to kind of bring them along on this journey. And then you'd be surprised by building this community, how your customers start talking to each other. They start sharing their experience with your products. They start telling about their friends about the products. And not only do you run the 30-day, but then you continue building your community by running multiple challenges throughout the year. And I do have like a playbook structure on what assets are needed, what you need to build the challenge. And it's essentially once you do your first one or your second one, you can systemize it because you can learn, and it's creating something that's systemized, scalable, and that you have to invest in the beginning is basically what you have to do. And I think this is a very interesting way for brands to interact with their customers and bring new customers in. And with another brand, we did a lead gen campaign for the challenge. So we did an awesome video of the founder kind of talking about, not about their product, but talking about how they're doing, it happened to be Dry January, which the brand is a non-alcoholic spirit, right? So we ran a lead gen ad with the founder talking about how they're going to go join them for this Dry January challenge, the health benefits, etc. Drove them to a landing page. On that landing page, we captured an email. We also captured an SMS, and that page kind of explained what to expect. Once they've entered their data, they would then put into an automatic flow through Klaviyo, where they were notified when the challenge is starting and that they joined the Facebook group. And within the Facebook group, then we had built out a structure of keeping them engaged. Then we had announced when they knew and expected when the challenge was starting. And it's been an incredible journey. We have 300 people in our Dry January challenge that I'm running right now. And the brand has seen their revenue triple year over year from last January to this January. They've seen their revenue triple because of this highly engaged community that is going on the shared experience and seeing the value of your brand and being of service to your brand. So I know it may seem like, oh, a challenge doesn't make sense for my brand, but you'll be surprised at how applicable. I'm doing one also right now with a women's sports bra for larger breasted women from a 28 onwards. And we have a challenge running right now, a 30-day challenge of 30 days to boost your self-confidence. And she's actually blown away by the engagement that she's getting. Small brand, kind of limited budget, didn't know how or what to do to engage your customers, drive customer acquisition. And we have about 180 people in that group, but the engagement in it is insane. And her sales have just tripled as a result of this journey that we're taking your customers on. So that's what we mean by building community.
That's so helpful, and from out of curiosity, I know that, we're capturing these email addresses for folks, we're doing some lead gen activities to drive that. Have you ever seen a successful email drip campaign format for a challenge?
Yeah. With your challenge, you would set up a separate flow. I think most of you on Klaviyo, from what I saw from a lot of your tech stacks, you build out a flow, and with that flow, you automate, a welcome when they've signed up. In that flow, the day that the challenge launches, you send an email. You can educate people through that flow. You can give them offers through that flow. You can give them tips and ideas through that flow. So that flow could be super powerful and productive as you start adding more people into your challenge strategy, which ultimately builds community on a Facebook group. Now, we have built communities off Facebook, but this has been brands that have had bigger budgets that are able to either have an app or have some other proprietary platform that they've leveraged to build the community that's outside of Facebook. But Facebook is actually shifting there towards community, towards groups, because the way the algorithm's working, and I don't know if any of you are in groups, you will be served that content above any other content because your intent is already there because you've actually taken an action and joined something. So the algorithm prefers and prioritizes groups. And you can control in a group, you can have more control over, you can schedule events, you can do Facebook Lives, you can do you can do polls. There's so many things that you can do within a group that you can't do on your Facebook page, on your Instagram page, on your website, to build community. And it's free.
Amazing. So we have just a couple of minutes left here. Raina has a question, so I'm going to let her be our final question for today. Teri, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Teri. This has been great information. Wanted to know, in terms of Meetup, the like meetup.com, have you seen much with that, like in terms of groups? Has that caused much conversion?
Well, it's interesting, Meetup, if I feel like Meetup works if you're going to meet up in person, but you could probably use it and leverage it to, like, maybe you have a meetup on Zoom or something like that. But I don't think you have as many features as you do in groups.
Okay.
So within Facebook groups, like I said, you can schedule events, you can do Facebook Lives, you can do polls. There's a bit more structure to a group than there is to a meetup.
Okay.
But meetups are definitely a beneficial way to meet people that are like-minded, right?
Mhm.
I don't think it's a way to really nurture and build a community.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, Teri, thank you so much for being with us today. And thank you everyone who joined us on a
Well,
Friday morning.
I was going to let everyone know, you can find me, and I am more than happy. I told Jenny this. I'm more than happy to have one-on-ones with you, because you guys, because I did visit all your sites, and there were definitely some things that I was like, oh, there's some optimizations that could be done here. So I'm willing to meet up one-on-one with any of you to, address anything that you want to, topic that you want to address, whether it's on-site optimization, whether it's email optimization, influencer strategy. You can get me at Teri at radiancecollective.com. My site is radiancecollective.com. I do have on my site a free e-commerce email roadmap document that you can download. That's super helpful. And I'm available. You can please connect with me on LinkedIn. I post frequently on LinkedIn. And I'm so excited to meet you guys and hopefully help you guys grow your businesses.
Thank you so much, Teri. And I will share this recording and follow-up notes, including some of the resources we talked about on this call, in the community and in the app. So thank you all so much for taking the time to be here today. Thank you, Teri, again, for your expertise and your offer for these one-to-ones. I'm so excited. And we will see you all next week. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.